Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said to them, what evil thing is this that you do by which you profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers do thus? And did not our God bring all this disaster on us and on this city? Yet you bring added wrath on Israel by profaning the Sabbath. When you start looking at true shepherds like Nehemiah versus false shepherds versus false prophets, there's a huge common denominator of true prophets. The common denominator of a true prophet is they uncover sin and they bring the people back to repentance through the word of the Lord. And I love Nehemiah's approach. He doesn't fall into the trap of, being politically correct. He's not concerned about carefully crafting and constructing a beautiful collage of words so as to not offend his own brethren. Nehemiah does something profound. He comes out and he calls sin, sin. What are you thinking? Why are you doing what is pure evil? Nehemiah reminds them of their history. Do you not know what your fathers did? Your fathers did exactly what you're doing. And again, I reiterate, Romans 15. The things that were written before were written for our learning. And as Paul is going through this list in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, and where he's reminding the Corinthians, Gentile Christians, he's reminding Gentile Christians of everything that has been recorded in the Tanakh, specifically the Torah, when he says, do you not remember that some of the people were idolaters? Do you not remember some of the people were sexually immoral? Do you not remember that some of the people in the wilderness gave in to complaining and they tempted Yeshua himself? And these things were written for our admonition. In other words, Gentile, you better learn. Look at these things that God did to his own people, and you should learn from them. You want to talk about a life lesson for us today? Think about this. Do you want the wrath of God unleashed upon you? Keep profaning the Sabbath. This is what Nehemiah is warning his brethren. You want to walk down that road? The wrath of God you will meet. It's interesting. The devil is going to try to convince you to not believe this. Just as he convinced Eve to not believe, what's the big deal if you eat a little bit of fruit? Not a big deal. According to the word of the Lord, it was a big deal. And that's where you need to rest. This is the word of the Lord. The whole commandment where Shabbat desecration is defined as evil, let it sink in. Continuing on, verse 19. So it was at the gates of Jerusalem as it began to be dark before the Sabbath, that I commanded the gates to be shut and charged that they must not be opened till after the Sabbath. Then I posted some of my servants at the gates so that no burdens would be brought in on the Sabbath day. Amazing. Nehemiah takes action. He is moving to guard and to defend the Sabbath, even to the extent that he is now posting servants at the gates. He's going to post them. Because what doesn't he want to have happen? He doesn't want the burdens, the massah, the business, the commerce, people that want to do business. He doesn't want them in on the Sabbath because that's profanity. It's profaning the Sabbath. Looking at what Nehemiah has done here, and is doing. What can you apply to your life right now? How do you practically apply what you're seeing happening right here? And I'm going to tell you, you're going to shut the gates of your home. You're going to shut the gates of your heart. You're going to shut the gates of your mind so that you separate yourself, that you totally enter into the Shabbat. You're separating from the world. And that means when your employer calls and tells you, well, we have an emergency, you got to come in. We really, really need you. We got this going on. You shut the gates. There's going to be no way to get to you. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the devil is going to try his best to get to you. He's going to. And if you're not careful, he will seduce you. Moving on. Now the merchant and sellers of all kinds of wares lodged outside Jerusalem once or twice. So get this. When Nehemiah shuts the gates, the merchants don't go home. They sit right outside the gates of Jerusalem so that they can be seen. I mean, the devil is very brilliant what he's doing here. He wants to tempt the Jewish people. He wants to tempt God's people. Open those gates. Let's do business. Come out of those gates and let's do business. And this is what I'm telling you. As you look at this story, it's laying it out on a practical level. We need to take heed to the reality. And let's just say you went from not keeping the Shabbat to starting to keep the Shabbat, I'm going to tell you, you're going to have to post guards and servants at the gate doors. You're going to have to lock it down because in every way, the enemy is trying to lure you out, trying to seduce you. And so here you have those merchants so that everyone can see they're there and all those wonderful goods that they need to buy. How does Nehemiah respond to this? This is awesome. Verse 21. Then I warned them and said to them, why do you spend the night all around the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time on, they came no more on the Sabbath. Nehemiah is he is a convincing guy. But what I want you to grab hold of here, and this is so important, Nehemiah is willing to go to war to defend the Sabbath. He is willing. He sent a warning across the bow. Don't mess with me when it comes with keeping the Shabbat holy and not desecrating, because I will go to war against you. And we need to have this mentality, and I don't mean physical violence. We're talking in the spiritual realm here, of you making decisions and saying no to the world, and saying no to your employer, and saying no to those that just want you to come and do a little bit of shopping on the Shabbat. You say no. You go to war and say, I absolutely will not. I'm not going to engage in this with you.
Hey there, this is Mike at Corner Fringe Ministries, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch our video. We hope that it blessed you and it encouraged you. And if it did, please hit the thumbs up on the video and share it with your friends and family. It's also, if you haven't already considered, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now, if you'd like to watch the entire video, click on this link. And if you'd like to watch the entire series and learn more about what we do and believe here at Corner Fringe Ministries, click on this link. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video, and we hope to see you again soon. Shalom.